Hey, welcome to another episode of the Week in Crime and Policing with Mayo and Mayso. I'm Mark DeMayo. This is my partner, Angel Maysonet, and we're both
What's up?
retired NYPD detectives. Each week we sit down. I'm on the West Coast, he's on the East Coast now, and we discuss the crime stories that made headline news the past week. And it's very sad the way we have to start off today. It just so happened that we had a tragedy this morning. There's nothing worse than to talk about as a host of one of these podcasts that's law enforcement related than school shootings, right, Angel?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a school shooting in Nashville. Biological female apparently did the shooting. Was a former
No, no,
student.
no. So it turns out it's a transgender.
So I just saw on Fox News there was a biological female that
No.
identifies as a guy.
Oh, really? That identifies as a guy?
Yeah. I mean, she's she or he or is transgender and identifies as a male, but is a biological female.
All right. Well, yeah, I got that screwed up because,
It's confusing. Anybody could get it screwed up. It's confusing.
yeah, Audrey
It's super.
Hale is the shooter's
Yeah.
name, 28
It's
years
super
old.
super confusing
And they
for
did
everybody.
say female, and they did, they see the thing was, the way I was watching I guess he's the captain or the head of the police department there, the
The
spokesperson
chief,
for
yeah, the chief.
the chief, and he kept the way he was saying she all the time. I was like, oh man, this is probably a transgender, and he's trying not to screw this up.
Offend.
He's,
Yeah.
um, but before we get into all that, just a prayer to the families of Evelyn, William, and Hale. Those are the children that died. Um, the three adults, not including the shooter, were one was a custodian and the other two were teachers. And this was a school that Audrey Hale is her name. She went to supposedly. She's 28 years old. Who knows how long she went to that school? We don't know yet, but she did leave behind a manifesto and maps drawn of the school, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So,
Apparently, she was going to another school first, and because the security was in place, she decided to change her mind. They said they were going to get into that in more detail later. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, but these situations are fluid. People are scrubbing social media. You have the talking heads, right? Giving their take on it, blaming a political party, blaming ideology, blaming a religion, blaming a gender, blaming this, blaming that, blaming this, blaming that, instead of just blaming the shooter, right? They'll blame her parents, they'll blame the school, they'll blame everybody in the world, but the shooter is at fault here. And in my opinion, nothing's going to stop it. No laws are going to stop this because apparently she had two legal firearms and one illegal firearm. No laws are going to stop this. We need a hard layer. Our schools are soft targets. We need hard layers of security. We need perimeters. We need an external perimeter and an inner perimeter for our schools so that people can't just go in and do what they want. It's time to do it. And people have to this should be a nonpartisan issue. Get together and get this done. Get layers of security. This is what happened, what they have in Israel, and they haven't had a school shooting in I think 20 years because they have an exterior perimeter, an interior perimeter, and then they have people inside. So they gotta do something. People got to get together and do something because the laws are not going to change this because bad guys don't follow the law, and the people who are law abiding, they're going to be outliers like this person who are crazy, who has some kind of mental defect or is just hell bent on killing people, and they're going to go and they're going to do it.
yeah, when I first heard of the school shooting and I saw that it was Covenant School, private Christian institution, the first thought that came into my mind was a progressive. That's
Mhm.
just whether it's a detective in me, just trying to. That was my initial hunch. Somebody who was a progressive, targeting a Catholic institution, a religious institution, and then we weren't. I wasn't far off with it because it turns out it's a transgender. and but I had it mixed up because because when I heard the firearms that were involved too, which was two what do they call it, military style weapons. One of them was a rifle one, and one was a gun, AR-15, but a gun version of it, and then a regular gun. These are weapons I'm thinking a man would carry. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We haven't
Hmm.
heard any women, biological women, using weapons like this, carrying weapons like this. So that was surprising to hear that.
Yeah. Um. Again, right? We're getting to a point where we're going to make these assumptions. And listen, you were right. You were right on target, right? You made the assumption. It's human nature. We all make these assumptions, but there are going to be outliers. There's going to be more of this stuff taking place where people are going to go outside of the box, so to speak. Um, there was a shooting. I forgot where it was last year where they targeted a parade, and the guy was dressed up as a girl, and he went up on a rooftop and he started shooting people. Um, you know, again, and I said this before, and I'll say it again, we are normalizing everything in society, so we can't look at what's abnormal and raise our antennas, so to speak, because we're homophobic, we're misogynistic,
Hmm.
we're transphobic, insert the derogatory term, right? There's no you can't give intel to police. To see something, say something is going by the wayside because you can't single out someone who fits sort of a mold of something unusual because everything's normalized. So if you do it, you're against said demographic of society. So it's exhausting. And to me, I just can't imagine being a parent with young children in school nowadays. There's so much going on, and I just think that the only way we are going to stop these shootings is a multi-layered, multifaceted, security-centric approach. We got to stop with the kumbaya bullshit. We got to stop with all the kids are going to feel like they're in prison. Listen, the trauma of being behind two layers of fences is a lot less trauma than having to see one of your classmates, God forbid, or your teacher or the custodian killed, in my opinion.
My high school, you had to go through a gate. It was a tall gate, probably like I don't know, 20 foot high, and then there was a long pathway. I never noticed the gate. You know what I'm saying? Now that you mentioned it, that two-layer security. Otherwise, you would have just been walking on because it was in the middle of a block, a
Right,
city block.
right, right.
But you
Yeah,
had to go through this gate, and that gate was closed once I guess school started,
yeah,
or maybe the gate was open, but at least you had to go through that gate and walk down this long, long path before you actually got to the school, before you got to
right,
the door to
right.
get in. And that's what you're talking about. And
Yeah,
that makes
listen,
complete sense to me. I don't see why
I
that would
think,
be a problem at all for any
I
school,
think,
really.
I think it's a good idea, and I'm not exceptional. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm certainly not the first person who's thought about this. And a federally funded force of retired law enforcement and military personnel or young people who can go through some sort of academy and training and put you can't have one SRO, you can't have one armed guard. You need a team. You need two,
Hmm.
right? We saw in Parkland. You can't have one guy in there, who's outgunned or who's afraid to respond. You got to have a backup plan. And again, we can go to the Uvaldis of the world. We can go into the Parklands of the world. We can go into all of them. Columbine, which started this whole phenomenon as a law enforcement or trained tactical force. At the very least, you got to go in there and be a speed bump. Slow the guy down. If you got to distract him and pay with your life, I mean, it's what you do. You got to be a speed bump and slow them down so that when the cavalry comes, they can mitigate the threat. I mean, it took them 14 minutes to get to the school to
Hmm.
mitigate this threat. I think while that's the best that they could do, I think it's unacceptable to have to wait for 14 minutes. I mean, if this person had a lot more ammunition and a lot more access or a lot more tactical training, they could have killed everyone in the damn school in 14 minutes, in my opinion.
Well, they had to shoot their way through the door. So I think, if anything, that's how they gained access into the school, by
Right.
shooting their way through the door. So that might have saved them some time and hid. if hoping, that everybody heard the gunshots and decided to either move into action and whatever they practice on a daily basis.
Yeah, active shooter training is run, hide, fight, right? Avoid, barricade, or confront. Obviously, the kids are not going to confront. Confronting is only as a last resort. I teach active shooter training now, in my business, and I'm in charge of guys who teach it to all of our employees. It's avoid, barricade, confront. Confront is the last resort, right? A hero is a sandwich. You don't want to be a hero. You're only supposed to confront if you have no other choice and your life is in imminent danger. But it's a run or hide, right? And these kids are either going to run or hide. It's a sad state of affairs. And look, this is not happening in New York City. This is not happening in Detroit. It's not happening in Cleveland. It's not happening in the ghettos. It's happening in these suburbs because there are less police to respond within a timely fashion. There's vulnerabilities. There's softer targets when they're in the suburbs. You could walk into any school in this country, and I certainly don't want to give up too much, or give anybody any ideas. But you can walk into any school in this country in the suburbs and just walk in. There's no metal detectors. There's no cops probably posted at the door. They don't have reinforced steel doors for the most part, right? I don't know. This Christian school probably had private funding, so they had different parameters of security. But this is not happening. You don't hear mass shootings in a school in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island. You don't hear it in Detroit, right? I mean, I just think people have to pull back, look at the totality of the situation, hard evidence, look at what you have in front of you and now address it together. Not Republican, Democrat, progressive, liberal, conservative. All of our kids deserve to be safe, period.
I agree. Why don't we say hello to the people that were kind enough to join us in the chat?
Okay.
Raquel Pranzo, hello. She says, good evening, Mark and Angel.
Yep. Hi, Raquel. We love you, honey.
Hi, Raquel. Jojo. Hi, Mark and Angel. Peter Pranzo's in the house of Harlem Raiders fame. He sends his regard, Little Mermaid, Louisa.
Hi, Louisa.
Terry Lynn Helberg. Hi, Terry Lynn. What else we got here? Milwaukee Civilian.
Yes.
Says, what the hell? Why the early show? This is mildly inconvenient for me. Is it? I did it for you, Milwaukee. Actually, you know what? I've been recording this podcast at what my new job, and so I had to come in and start an hour earlier because I was doing it after work, because by the time I get home over here, I'm 3 hours behind. It would be too late. But it seems like that everybody clears out of this building here by 5 o'clock here. So then that's because people come up here and look for me. Hey, man, are you done yet? Because we got to go. So I decided to push it back an hour and come in an hour earlier. So
six is better for me, especially baseball season starting, right? The
baseball season and football season is going to be starting soon too.
Yeah. So
Milwaukee Civilian. I hope that you can get your life together and show up on time for for crying out loud. We depend on you. You know we're counting on you, right? We can't do it without you.
We need him. We need it. He or she. I mean, because we don't know.
We still don't know.
Or is it girl? They, them. Milwaukee Civilian, they, them. We got Mary Goldstein. Mary Goldstein's in the chat.
Hi, Mary Goldstein.
Hello, Mary. I'm tired, guys. You see my face. I'm in a conference. I'm in a security conference in Savannah, Georgia. Poor me, right? This hotel room behind me, the messy bed. So I just came up from doing an hour and a half presentation for the folks that were here, and now I'm jumping on this. And then
that's nice.
7:10 is a happy hour. So
Gina G is also in the house. I didn't mention her. Hi, Gina. That's pretty cool what you're doing. I like that. You're traveling abroad, and since you're in Georgia, we might as well do this story right now. Where is it? Let me find this guy. Is this it? Nope. That's it. Nope. Damn it. They all look the same.
That's not it.
Is this it? No. Damn it.
Mary, there you go.
That's got to be it. No, damn it! What the hey?
All right, forget. Listen, I'm gonna sign off.
Okay,
Text me
listen.
when you find it.
No, listen. So, well, there was a shooting. There was a homeowner. A homeowner. Did I do the same? That's not it. That's not it. New York homeowners. That's not it. Damn it!
That's
What
not
the hell?
it.
I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, there was a Georgia homeowner.
That's not
He
it.
shot an
That's
intruder.
not,
I'm not looking. I don't want to know about that
that's
stuff.
not it.
I'm not.
That's
I'm not looking. A Georgia homeowner shoots an intruder. It was about 5:30 in the morning. Apparently, on this block where they live, it was all quiet for years, and then all of a sudden, a group of young people have been testing doors and doing break-ins. And this guy just happened to be up early that morning making his cup of coffee. And this unwanted guest caught his demise.
So
And,
he killed him.
oh, yeah, he shot him pretty dead. That guy's not
So
coming.
why'd he shoot him? Was he trying to kill him, or was it just a home invasion?
No,
Like,
the
he just
guy
coming
was trying to break into his house, so he broke in. But in Georgia, they have, what's that called? Stand your ground? You don't have to-
Yeah.
I don't know. Some states have that law where you're supposed to vacate your residence. Who the hell's doing that? I'm at
Vacate
home
residence for what?
to not come. Like, for example, if you're getting burglarized, rather than shoot the person,
Run!
you're supposed to run.
No,
You're supposed to
not
get
happening.
out. Well,
Not happening in my residence.
it was probably a short conversation. The cops came over. What happened? I was making coffee. This knucklehead came in. I grabbed my gun and I shot him.
I bet you he had his hot cup of coffee in his hand when the cops got there.
Yeah, he
He was probably sipping it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I wrote it. I had it here. I don't know what the hell happens to me sometimes. Anyway, but I'm surprised you didn't hear about that being over there.
You cute ones are always not as bright as the rest of us. You know.
Yeah.
Being that you're so handsome and you got your new beard going on, your new little.
I always tell people, man,
soy boy haircut.
I've been pretty broke my whole life, and people like, oh, but you work so hard. I'm saying, yeah, well, God don't give you this face and money at the same time. And if he does, he makes you gay.
I tell my kids all the time, I wish I was rich instead of so damn good looking. They're like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. The irony is that whenever somebody tells me, oh, yeah, but see, my argument is whenever you tell me, oh, yeah, what about so-and-so? I just told you he's gay.
That's it.
God don't give you the looks and the money at the same time.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
No,
be all the gay you want.
That's
just,
it. More ladies for straight guys.
Well, no, yeah, that's it. So homeowner. See, and that's the problem with the lawlessness and people having to defend themselves is just that the firearms that are involved. People feel like they have to defend themselves, and if there's not going to be police responding, if they can't count on the police, the whole mindset is changing now. How do I protect my family?
Yeah,
I got to get a firearm.
I think civilians are seeing the writing on the wall too, because police aren't supported, right? And if they do take action, they're demonized and scrutinized and vilified, and you name it. So it's like, why am I going to wait for the police? If I could have a firearm in my house, I'm going to take care of business and let the police clean up the mess. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sure the police are happy about that. To a point, right? You got law-abiding citizens who are trained, who are carrying firearms, and they're taking care of business and they're protecting themselves. I mean, that's what the Second Amendment was all about, right? In the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, I would say yes and no. I don't think any, we weren't used to confronting people. It wasn't even an option.
It's different.
Everybody who we confronted, if they were armed, there was a 90% chance that they were a perp, or it was either you were a cop or you were a perp. Very few you rarely ran into people with carriers permits here.
Yeah, but if we lived in a state like Texas or whatever, then it would be normal for us.
Then,
we would probably be
part
happy.
of it. Yeah, that's obviously part of it.
So Milwaukee Civilian is asking in the chat. He's like, "Damn, Mark's not gay." And, and Raquel comes see the defense and says, "You seem happy enough." So just want to throw that in there.
Milwaukee civilians just assumed that, right?
Yeah, no.
That I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, here's a tragic story. We'll come back to that thought. A California Marine vet who did 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan was murdered during a robbery while he was driving his Uber. He was working at night, so his wife, a nurse, could work. He could watch the kids during the day, and this is him. And this is a tragedy right here.
Oh my
This
God.
guy, 3 tours. Listen. Instead of giving this freaking all our money away to other countries and supporting
Yeah,
their walls, if
yeah.
you do 3 tours, okay, in a combat area, flying abroad, flying away from your family, you should not have to work when you come here.
You're
When
right.
you come back home, you should just stay in the military, stay on the base, do whatever it is that you have to do, polish the rockets, do whatever you got to do over there on the base. You shouldn't have to work. You should make
Yeah.
enough money. You did
Get all the
3 tours.
benefits. All the benefits. Yeah.
Stay out of harm's way. That's his beautiful family
Oh
that
my
he's
God.
never going to see, and they're never going to see. The mother hasn't even told the kids yet. The son is 9, the daughter's 3.
How do you tell the kids?
She hasn't told them yet. As
That's
far as
horrible.
this articles, his name was Aaron Orozco. He was 38 years old. The guy served his country well. We should all be that brave. And he had 4 years driving an Uber without incident. And that's the problem. Last week, we talked about the woman. She had several years driving Uber as well before she
Yeah.
got beat up by those 7 girls.
Mhm.
And that's the thing with driving these cars. It's just a matter of time until you run into a drunk knucklehead, depending on what hours you work. If you could work Monday through Friday and come out of your house at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you take the lunch break at like once rush hour's over, you come out from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's it. That's the way you should do it.
My dad is a Uber. He does Uber and Lyft for a living in Florida. My father, he's retired. He's in his mid 70s, and
He probably loves it. He
And
gets him
I,
out
and
of the
I
house.
worry. Yeah, he's the gift of gab. He was a salesman his whole life. I'm worried for him, because the reason why these attacks are getting more prevalent is why,
I
because
don't know.
the criminals aren't being given consequences. That's why.
Yeah, but
Because
they're
they
not
see
carrying cash, these people.
it doesn't matter. A lot of these people, like these young girls who attacked that lady last week that we showed, um, they do it for the rush of it. And they do it because they're savage assholes, and they know that they're not going to, there's not going to be harsh consequences for their actions.
This was a confrontation between with the 2 passengers. So it sounds to me like it got out of the car. Either I don't know what they were supposed to do. And then it's also when you were dealing with people who are drinking, or if they want to damage your car, or if they slam the car door on the way out. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? There's so many little things that can happen with somebody who's just being an asshole. And he went out and he confronted him. And one of them was armed, and he shot him and he killed him. Shot him right in the chest.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my heart goes out to the family.
Listen, if slamming the car door was a criteria, my wife would have caught a hot one a long time ago. She gets out of the car and she slams the door like she's closing a fucking door to an airplane, like slamming it shut to keep it airtight. It's amazing.
Luckily, I'm learning how to edit because I'll cut that part right out.
Why?
That's a misspoke right there, because you don't want to get into a problem with your wife.
She knows it. You don't got to edit that out. She knows. She slams the door. Forget about it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Every time
yeah.
she
It's
gets
not
out, my
like,
sister-in-law does it too.
well, in their defense, they're young, but they're not that young. They
What?
remember the heavy car doors. So
They're not that young. Stop.
they still remember the car doors, the heavy ones. Remember the year when we grew up? Those were
Yeah.
heavy car doors.
When I was in the
know?
academy, I had a 1978 Chevy Malibu, straight 6. That car was part of the best car I owned, and it was a piece of crap. But the thing wouldn't die. But the doors weighed like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Those doors you had to slam. What do we got
Hi,
here?
Maui. See you getting in there late. I'm always
This
supposed
is
to
a
join.
big problem right now with the squatters. Every article I read, people are having a lot of problem with squatters. Either you have a property that your parents have deceased, like I'll show you in a few seconds. The guy's mother dies. He lives in another state. He's got to come there. In the meantime, somebody finds out either through because they put the real estate thing up there, the house is vacant, or they know somebody else's business, and they start squatting. And how do you get them out? Because all of a sudden, trespassing or burglary, they don't become the charges anymore. Now it's all of a sudden squatting, and it's a big problem. And this guy, look at this, and this is an interesting scenario because this happened in New York City. This lady here was the caregiver, not the caregiver. She was the aide for, or housekeeper or maid
Healthcare
for a
aid,
lady.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, probably a combination. A New York squatter threatens to flush remains of former tenant down the toilet in housing spat. Now, I worked in the building in a residential building in New York City. This is on the Upper East Side. This is where this old lady lived. They had a ton of money. She cared for this lady for many years, and lady wound up passing. Now, when you care for somebody like that, you wind up basically living there at least six, maybe 6.5 days a week. Maybe there's a half a day where you can go home to your and see your family. It's not
Right.
uncommon at all. People do this all the time. Um, and when the lady passes now, this lady, she moves her family in.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And now trying to get her out is a big problem. See, the problem is, though, no matter, even if you pay the apartment off completely, if it's a co op, what I imagine this is, there has to be a monthly
Maintenance.
maintenance paid. So I don't know who was paying it in the meantime, but this lady was up there with her family. And whenever they try to come in and get her out, she was saying, I'm going to throw your parents down the toilet because, they had the
Unbelievable.
ashes in there. So they're trying to come to, not every situation is this. See, she knows the kids. She's been with the family for such a long time. I think she just feels like she's probably entitled to something. Um,
It's just it's so a lot of these laws have to be changed, right? Because just
oh my
because
God.
I mean, and this is just not this, right? I think child support laws have to be changed. There's just
Yep.
so much has changed over the years that I mean, if you've been there over 30 days, now you can't get thrown out because you're not paying a bill. I mean, and it takes months. I mean, you're talking about backlog. Before
Hmm.
COVID, there was a huge backlog in landlord tenant court. Now you're talking about years worth of 1, 2, 3 years worth of backlog in landlord tenant court. How are you going to fight your case? How are you going to plead your case to get these people thrown the fuck out? It's selfish. It's they have to adjust. They have to amend
I'll
these
give
laws.
you the flip side of the coin, though. Think about this with so many homeless people, families included. Not every homeless person is out there doing drugs every day. Some people come across hardship, misfortune. They get a flood in their house. If daddy gets loses his job, maybe their mom and dad both worked at Disney and they're laying off 7,000 people now because they decided to go woke instead of taking care of the families and being a place for families to come.
Yeah.
Um, now, what are you supposed to do? Right? And then especially when you're living on a block or you see this house is somebody's what do they call pet or something like that. It's their other. It could be their other house or their other house, and nobody's in that house for 6 months, 8 months. That's where I have like a little hard time just thinking. There's a beautiful place right there, just sitting there, where unoccupied, where they have a cleaning person come or somebody scoop up the mail once a week or once a month.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, there's all these people that need a place to live.
But
That's
wait, but
it's
wait, wait.
it's just the socialist in me.
But what are you saying? Are you
I
saying
don't
that if
listen. I'm
are
not
you
saying
hold on,
anything.
I'm asking you a question.
Go ahead.
Are you saying that if I own a second home in Florida and it's empty 6 months out of the year or 10 months out of the year, that I should be letting somebody else live there for free?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is just that there has to be a better way. It's
What?
gluttonous.
Better
You
wait for
took.
what?
I don't
If I
know. I don't know.
if I made enough money and I
Uh
did
huh.
enough in my life to be able to afford a vacation home, I don't want some person in
Hmm.
my like. No, that's social. I mean, you said it. It's socialism to the 10th degree. Like,
Yeah, I
no,
agree. I
no,
agree.
no,
I
no.
agree.
If I did enough in my life to be able to afford a second home, there should be no government overreach. There should be no, okay, well, we have a homeless family. They should live in your house for 10 months out of, or 2 months
Hmm.
out of the, no, no. Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I'm driving on the highway and I see somebody, one person in the Yukon, and I see that whole extra one lady driving in the Yukon like this, and I see that whole extra back of the freaking truck in there, and I'm like, why is that necessary? Why is that person driving that huge vehicle? There's no way they have a family that big.
It's the
Either
same
they.
reason I bought, it's the same reason I bought my Hellcat because I could.
I know, I know. I just sometimes I have a problem with these things, man.
Wow.
It's just, yeah. That's
Hmm.
my father. That's my father in me.
Wow. Che Guevara.
Yeah,
Che
yeah,
DeMayo.
yeah, yeah. I feel bad. That's what it is, and
Well,
I know
listen, I feel bad too. You could feel bad. But the thing is,
we're talking about exceptions right now. I'm not talking about the gluttons, the people that have 4, 5, 6 properties or scattered all over the world where they rarely visit. The only time somebody's in that apartment is when they give it to their friends.
so,
They lend it to their friends for the week. You know what I'm
so,
saying?
so.
I know. But with
I mean,
all the
so
with all the problems that.
Jeff Bezos probably owns 15 different houses and he probably
Mhm,
sleeps in one of them, right? And the other ones just sit there. But so what? He could do that because he built an empire.
mhm.
So, I mean, should he have to? It's the same thing with low income housing. Why should I, um, uh, work hard to get into the suburbs to take my kids away from the craziness of the city, running from crime, running from craziness, and then I have to build because I want to build 10 beautiful townhomes and a piece of my property. 4 of them have to be low income housing. Why?
Oh, I
Why?
don't agree with destroying neighborhoods because you want to put up low income housing. If people pay a certain amount of money to live in that place, I'm just saying that if you look at the if you have any type of conscience at all,
So you saying I don't have a conscience? What the
you're talking about one extra residence that you're
I'm
probably
talking
going to
about
visit
15
it.
extra residents.
You're probably going to visit it a couple times a year because you
Mhm.
don't have the type of money or that I'm talking about. These things that happen with these squatters, a lot of times it's because of the fact that nobody's been in that house for the only reason why they're coming is to check because they heard that somebody broke into the property.
So, but the thing is, if I have 15 homes and I only visit one every other year, what gives some skell the right to just go into my house because nobody's in there and put his feet up and not pay electricity, not pay for gas, not pay for water, not
Mhm,
pay for lawn maintenance, not pay for anything. And now you sit there, and now when I want to get you out of my house that I paid
mhm.
for with my hard-earned money, I got to get the police involved, and I got to wait 2 years. And then when you do get out, before you leave, you destroy everything. No, it's crazy. It doesn't matter if I have 100 houses. Get your own fucking house. Work hard. Be better. Do better.
Well, this person right here, he kind of sort of figured out New York homeowners hands tied and
Sorry.
fight against squatters as expert issues advice. This guy right here is a handyman, and his mother died, I think, in Florida. So he went down there when he found out squatters had taken over, and it was a mother and her what looked like junkie daughter, real dirtbags. And what he did was he waited down the block until they left, and then he came in because he had the keys, and he changed the locks, and he put surveillance cameras, everything, and he took all the crap and he put it up on the lawn, out on the lawn, and that's how he went about it. But not everybody is as handy as this handyman, um, or even smart enough to sit back in the cut and wait for them to leave. Sometimes, if they
Mhm,
have big families, they don't all leave at the same time.
mhm.
And if they're doing drugs, or one other one that I saw was a prostitute, prostituting herself out of this house. You know, it's killing the neighborhood because you have all these degenerates and lowlifes coming through your cul-de-sac now.
Mhm.
So this was a guy who figured it out, and it's one of these things that really, really took effect because of the pandemic and not being able to evict people. So the term squatter just it took so long, 3 years to get rid of some of these people. As soon as they found out, this one guy during the pandemic, what he did was, as soon as the pandemic started, he sold his house, and then when the new people came there to take over the house, he couldn't leave because of the pandemic. He said, and he stayed there for like another. The guy wouldn't leave, so now he's
That's
got the money for the house. He's not paying his mortgage, and he's living there for free
so
with
that's
his
why
family.
this is why we can't have nice things, right? This is why, because people take advantage of this. It's just, I don't know if it's human nature. I don't know if I even want to say that, but people take advantage of stuff that's put in place to help folks, right? If I buy your house at closing, you sign the papers, you're getting your shit out, or I should be allowed to go in there and drag your ass out by your hair, or have the police remove you by force, or the marshals move you by force. You're not. Everybody wants shit for free. There's nothing. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to see a sticker on cars all the time. Gas, grass, or ass. Nobody rides
Rides
free.
free. Yeah, I remember that.
And it's so true. Like, nothing in life is free. Listen, work harder. There's nothing, if you have to get, and when I was a cop, I had 3 jobs for a long time. Other than being a police officer, I was doing 2 other jobs on the side. Whatever you have to do to support your family, go out and do it within reason, right? Obeying the law, doing it the right way. Go get a night job at Walmart, stacking shelves, Home Depot, Lowe's, you name it. Work in a supermarket, do side jobs, whatever you have to do. But to impede on someone else's property and just stay there, that's not the answer. That's not the answer for me. I'm throwing your ass out. And no, it's not trespassing, because it's squatters' rights, because these laws are
Well,
antiquated.
that's the problem. The squatters' rights is
Yeah,
the problem because they're
because the
aware
laws are antiquated. The laws
because
are
they're
antiquated.
aware people who are going to take advantage and do this squatting, they're aware of the law. And I was watching another video where the lady, right off the bat, dealing with the real estate person, says, "Oh, you can't kick me out. I've been, I have squatters' rights." Like, she knew everything, and then turns out she was doing this in another state for as long as she could before her time ran out. Um, yeah. Let's see. What do we got going on in the chat here? Mary Goldstein. I agree with Angel. If you fall on hardship, you can always explore living through your security deposit to hold you over. That's 1 month. And she goes, I agree with Mark that it's sad, but most of the time it's people taking advantage. This is true. And Raquel says, correct, Mary. Maui Swift. Hi, Maui. This isn't the majority of the population. No, we're talking about the scum of the earth right now. This is what this show is about. We talk about the scum of the earth. Angel,
Lieutenant
you're
Peter
100% good.
he says that squatters' rights to a coffin.
Yep. And Raquel says Hochul's dream, and by Hochul she means the governor of New York, to infiltrate suburbia with low-income housing. It's not just Hochul's dream. This is something that's coming from our federal government as well. This is something that's going to be federally funded to break up, like, for example, Nassau and Suffolk County. You know, and every place, every state has areas like that where it's just predominantly the houses there are more expensive. They keep the riffraff out. It's a better quality of life, and they want to destroy it because they don't want you to have. They don't want it to be. They want everything to be the same. Shit.
No, go right. Yeah, go to the housing projects. Right.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother and my grandfather lived in Patterson houses.
Yeah, it's a different time, though.
43rd Street. No, but listen. Go to the housing projects and go see the filth and disgust and despair that's in the housing projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about ceilings leaking and no heat. I'm talking about
pissing in
pissing
the
in the
stairwell.
elevators,
Yeah.
pissing, shitting in the stairwells. The man is not doing that. The people that live there are doing this.
Hmm.
And guess what? If they get a house across the street from you
Hmm.
because of low income housing, guess what they're going to do to their house? They're not going
No,
to take care of it just because
people
it's a
only
nice
take
house in
care of stuff
suburbia.
that they work hard for.
And
They
sometimes,
buy
yeah,
with their own money.
yeah,
That's
that's
what
right.
you take care of.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, I used to work on Roosevelt Island in New York. And Roosevelt Island, it's an interesting thing. It's like you got 5 boroughs, and then, this thing is kind of sort of attached to Roosevelt Island to Queens in a way. But they had like 6 or 7 buildings there that they built up. And 6 of them were these co-ops, like 30-story buildings, really, really nice. People paid an arm and a leg to live there. And then the 7th one, same exact building, was for Section 8 housing. Needless to say, like you said, the 7th building was complete shit. And mind you, it was the same exact elevator, same lobby, same apartment formats. Everything was the same. Appliances just completely destroyed.
And that's
Pissing,
not the man. That's not the man
graffiti.
doing that shit.
And then, where you had a doorman and a concierge or whatever in the other 6 buildings, in this one you had to have like security. You know what I'm saying? Like in a different uniform. They just weren't able to handle like having a doorman. They tried it, and it's just you can't. People will only pay or take care of something that they have a vested interest in. If they're paying, even if it's a quarter of the money, you got to take something from them. They got to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. And listen, living in public housing, you shouldn't be able to live in public housing and drive a Range Rover, have a flat screen TV on the wall, and do all this other shit. There are people that are living in these public housing places for
They
generations.
never give it up.
Generations.
Even
It shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be
even if
allowed.
they could have a house.
It should be a stepping stone.
Money in Long Island, buy a house. They earn their money. They keep that apartment over there, and all the lies that go with it, just to have a place to crash in the city. It's hard. It's hard to give those places up because you're paying peanuts for it.
Yeah, but you should not be allowed to.
And you could rent it. You could sublet it.
No,
you're not supposed to, but
it's crazy.
People have scams on top of scams.
Yeah.
Peter Pranzo, got to have skin in the game. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Put some skin in the game.
Sick.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Did I do this one yet? Oh, this is an interesting one. This is so stupid. LA detective sounds alarm on killer cop website. This is uncharted territory. You know what LAPD did? LAPD put out the names and the pictures of their whole police department because some freaking group asked for it, including
Chief
the undercovers.
Yep, Chief Moore
included the undercovers that are in the middle of investigations that have to deal with where is it? These Mexican cartels. You have undercover detectives, and some people go back and forth. They work undercover for a few months. That thing gets, they make their arrest or they close that case out, and then all of a sudden, they go back to uniform, and then they go back undercover again when something else pops up. This is probably, if not the dumbest, I've never heard of anything stupider.
No, absolutely.
And now there's this guy, his name is Steven Sutcliffe. He has a Twitter page called Killer Cop 1984. And this is the kind of nonsense that he puts up. Sutcliffe also has a Twitter handle, Killer Cop 1984. According to the lawsuit, which he allegedly posted on March 20th. Remember, rewards. This is what he puts on the hashtag. Rewards are double all year for detectives and female cops alongside. So he's offering $1,000 to $2,000 to anyone who killed an officer, according to court documents.
Wow.
Now that's this guy should be in prison for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
And never get to touch a keyboard or phone or any type of electronics again. until his mind melts. No, really, this is the kind of piece of shit that doesn't
Well,
deserve to walk the face of the earth.
this is freedom of speech, right? This is what these people
Well,
are
that's
doing.
what he said. Exactly, that's what they said. But the argument there, it's not freedom of speech when you are offering money.
What's going to be done about it? What's going to be done about it? Because they ban Trump because of his views. They ban conservative views, but you could put out bounties on police officers.
Twitter killed this page. He no longer has a page anymore. Killer cop. I try to get a picture of him. There's a Stephen Sutcliffe in L.A., but he's an actor. I doubt it's one and the same. LAPD says they accidentally released the undercover officers. Now, I have a theory about Los Angeles. It's a much broader theory, but they can't really do it in New York. It's too congested. It's too tight. But you need a place like Los Angeles that's spread out where the real estate value is very, very high. And it's just about destroying this country, but destroying the big cities first. And LA is like a perfect example. I mean, this is one of the last straws. The homelessness, the drugs, open air drug markets over there, people bailing out. Anybody with money that can bail out has moved their businesses out of that state. And now, just to make sure, we're going to destroy the police department because it's hard enough getting recruits without this. If I'm on this job right now and I have a family, I mean, and your face is on some website right now where somebody can just go, if you gave them a parking ticket, look it up, find out what your name is, and then do another search somewhere else to find out, where you live, and they're going to come after you. Forget about if you were an undercover working in the Mexican cartel, deep undercover now. You got to quit. You got to leave. You got to get out of there.
Well, they want to slowly erode the police department as we know it, and they're doing it, right? Because their goal, and I think you've said this before, is a federal police force. Paterson, New Jersey. I don't know if you saw what happened in Paterson. The state is taking over the operations for the Paterson Police Department because they're saying that they have too many issues. So they're going to take over. They didn't ask. They're just doing a hostile takeover of their police department. These people just want to eradicate policing as we know it, and they want to make a federal police force. And it's just not going to go. It's not going to work out well. If you make enemies of your police, you better make friends with your criminals, because this is what, and I've said it before, right? The thin blue line is not the same as the blue wall, right? The blue wall is a thing of the past, as far as I'm concerned. The thin blue line is the line between chaos, anarchy, and law and order. And they're pushing that line. These people. But sooner or later, people are going to stop giving a shit. There's going to be people. There's not going to be anybody left to take the police jobs. Nobody's going to want it.
Nobody wants it now.
Well, almost nobody wants it, but it's going to get to a point where zero people are going to want to become cop. I mean, look at Mary. She's waiting to get on the job. She wants to get on the job. She's passionate about it. She feels like it's her calling. People like that are dwindling because it's like, risk versus reward, right? What are you going to do?
Yeah, well, you're right. There are still people who want the job, but if there's anybody out there that could talk them out of it, you know what I'm saying? If anything,
my son's he doesn't even have 2 years on the job yet, and he loves it. He wants to help people. He served his country for 8 years in the military, and now he's a police officer in Suffolk County, and he wants to do the job honestly, professionally, without prejudice. And
but you're talking about two police departments, Nassau and Suffolk, that still kind of believe they're old school in the way they operate. They're keeping their communities safe, and they back the police. When you're talking about Los Angeles, and anybody who's going to give you the names and pictures of their police officers,
it's
including
horrible,
undercovers. I mean, you're looking to undermine the job. You're looking to undermine. You're
going to kill people.
What I spend a lot of time thinking about is like, okay, so what is the main purpose of it? It's to Is it to separate the real estate and then have other people go in there and buy this real estate for a quarter of the price, and then now we have a change of hands? Like, remember the way Harlem was? Harlem was this
Yeah.
thing when they put a Starbucks there. Me and my partner sat in the car and we were laughing. We're like, who's going to pay you $3 for a cup of coffee? And then, sure enough, gentrification was in the process of happening. A year or two later, the whole neighborhood changed. A brownstone that used to go for maybe $60,000-$70,000 was now worth $1 million. And maybe that's what they're trying to do with LA. Flip it. You know what I'm talking about? Flip the money, flip who owns everything over
But
there.
no neighborhood is going to prosper. It doesn't matter whether the houses are worth 60,000 or 60 million. No neighborhood is going to prosper without good police. They're not.
Well,
The
at some point, you're going to have to get it back, or you're going to have to either use drones or robots or stuff like that.
You can't. The police, the community cannot function the right way without a good, effective police force. They can't. And so it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter where you build your house. If you get rid of the police, your neighborhood's going to go to shit.
There's going to be some type of law enforcement. The only question is, what type of is it going to be? Yeah. I mean, if you look at movies from the future, there's never somebody walking a foot post. You know what I'm saying? There's always detectives in the future. Blade Runner and all these other movies. There's always detectives, but there's no foot post. There's cops that show up in uniform, block the perimeter after a homicide in movies, but there's no cops.
Yeah, but most of it is post-apocalyptic stuff, right? Like Blade Runner and other, and which means that society's basically gone to shit, and now the police are there to just clean up the mess. So that means. If we're basing it on what we see in Hollywood, which I know we're not literally doing that, you're making an example, but it's going to be hell. It's going to be shit, anarchy, fucking post-apocalyptic shit. Really quick, Scott Wagner joined us in the
finally
chat. Scott, it's cultural bamboozlement. Thank you. I appreciate that little shout out. Welcome, Scotty.
Mary Goldstein, who are we talking about? What a disgusting human, if he even calls himself human. Lock him in a box. Who are we talking? We talking about LAPD?
She's talking about the chief. Moore, Chief Moore. I guess that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, they're all in cahoots. I have a feeling like that.
Unless she's talking about Socialist Mork. Maybe she was talking about
no. Peter Pranzo says LAPD weak union.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. They notoriously have a weak union. But listen, the NYPD used to have one of the strongest unions in the country. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the union is doing now. So the cops have been working 7 years without a contract. NYPD.
Yeah, I don't.
What's the union doing?
For the life of me, I don't understand how that happens. There has to be a better way. I mean, it's so stupid to keep. Especially with everything that's going on. But you know what it is, too? I have a feeling like it just has to do with the mayor, because he doesn't probably even know how to look at a contract or know what's going on.
No, he doesn't care. He knows. He doesn't care. He does not care. That's why it drives me nuts when people, they love Rudy Giuliani. Like, this guy's the second.
He gave us 3 zeros.
And 00336, like, screw that guy. I'm not a big fan of his. I'm not, never have been, never will be. And it has nothing to do with Trump, and it has nothing to do 0033 and 6 was our contract. The mayors of New York.
Well, he gave us 3 years of zeros for the time that we didn't have a contract. He gave us no raise. And that's why I don't see working past the day that your contract goes out. Nobody should just go in. That's it. And you could start. You're not going to fire 30,000 police officers. It's not going to happen.
It's against the city charter to strike.
I know. But you're talking about 7 years now. And there's no budge. There's no budge.
So what is the union? What is the union doing about it?
I don't know.
The problem is you can't Listen, even when you tried to do slowdown, right? When we were on the job and you tried to do slowdown, you could do it. Why? Because the union reps were the screw the cops giving out summonses and had steady weekends.
They can't do it
So
now because nobody writes
they
summonses
weren't gonna
anymore
sanction.
anyway.
No, but they're not gonna sanction any sort of slowdown because they want to keep their days off. They want to keep their cushy details. They want to stay in the precinct.
Everybody's
hiding,
all out
running
anyway.
around.
There's no more cushy details.
Oh yes, there is, my friend.
There's not as many as there used to be.
No, there's not as many. You're right, but there are still people hiding behind a desk.
Very few.
Every single precinct.
Because they have
still exist.
Operation All Out all the time now because they need coverage.
Yeah.
Very few people.
Mary says, I'm talking about the guy putting a bounty on cops' heads.
Oh, okay, that guy.
Got it.
Look at us at 55 minutes already.
Ay. Time flies when you're having fun.
What is Peter Pranzo saying? We tried that in the 7-1 strike. We lost money. Oh, in 71. Yeah, I agree. I remember when we tried to slow down, and my Uncle George, he was on the job, and a sergeant.
Mr. Jorge.
You know, he was Czech. He was on my mother's side, my mother's brother. And the sergeant pulls over a car for whatever nonsense, a defective headlight. And he tells my uncle, go write that guy his summons. My uncle, oh, yeah, all right. So that goes over. He goes over, hey, what's up? Let me see your license. He goes, all right, fix the headlight. And he gives him the thing. And then the sergeant asks him a couple of minutes later, how many did you write? He goes, I didn't write any. Because I thought I told you to write him. I didn't see what he did wrong. You saw it. You should have wrote him.
Ooh.
And then he wound up, they tried to write him up. But, he was the type of guy that you needed. Like, this guy would not budge at all. He didn't write a summons until we got the freaking contract. There was nothing you're going to do to him.
Few and far between. That's an old dying breed, my friend.
Yeah, Scott, we know about the Taylor law. I'm just saying there has to be something. There has to be something that can be done. The only problem is that they don't write summonses the way they used to anymore. You know,
right.
I left 2 months ago. Cops weren't writing summonses, man. You know, meter maids just started coming back when I left.
The brownies.
Yeah, the brownies. Remember that? Anyway, we're at 56 minutes. Let's say wrap it up here. 57 minutes, actually. We got 3 more minutes. We got enough time to say thank you for tuning in to the people that were kind enough to join us in the chat. We covered a bunch of stuff. And what do you got coming up, Angel?
I ain't got much. Just work. Work for me has gone super busy. They're releasing a movie on April 7th called How to Blow Up a Gas Line. And it's creating craziness in the industry that I work for. So I've been super busy.
Who's releasing? It's a whole movie?
It's a movie, yeah, like a Hollywood movie. How to Blow Up a Pipeline. It's like it's an activism type of movie. It's crazy. It's stupid. Shouldn't be allowed. But anyway, so I'm here at this conference. I got this till the end of the week. So it's creating a lot of waves in the industry. I have a lot of coordination with the JTTFs across New York, and we're trying to get ahead of it. So that's all I got going. My normal stuff, my advocacy for law enforcement, Big Rican Man, Twitter, Instagram, follow me, and let's keep it going. Love you guys.
All right. Let's. I don't have anything coming up except for working on the house that I have. I got furniture coming in. I have to set up my guest room because my son will be here in the end of April.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's coming, and hopefully my daughter will come after that. My mom is going to come. So I got to hook up this guest room. I'm excited. This is the kind of stuff that I always wanted to do.
Good.
You know, I mean, I didn't realize I wanted to do it, but for 25 years of never being able to hang out like a normal person because I was busy telling jokes all the time. Now I have a chance to do something like this, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see how long this is last. You know, I could have one guest and be like, hey, you know what? I can't do this no more. I need to be out. Yeah. But so far, I'm enjoying, my weekends of not being traveling and just chilling. It's been 2 months. Maybe I'll do a couple more weeks of this, and then I'll start dipping my toe back into the comedy world. We'll see.
All right.
It doesn't help that I don't even have a freaking new joke either. I do have one. and
Uh-oh.
it was because I got into my car the other day. Everybody keeps saying that AI is going to take over. You know, they have that new chat type of AI that everybody's worried about, TGI
Yeah.
to chat, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, don't worry about it, man. These freaking AI thing is stupid. I got in my car the other day. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm putting in my gym. I still have to do that, by the way. I still have to put in my gym, and now my car is asking me, "Do you want to go to the EOS gym?" There's like 10 of them here in Vegas,
Uh-huh.
on South on Stephanie Street, and I'm like, "Why would I go to the one on Stephanie Street when I go to work and I'm working out before I go to the gym? I go to the one right by my job." How
Mm-hmm.
long do I have to do this for, you freaking idiot? That every day I got to tell you. You
Oh,
guess
yeah, yeah.
incorrectly every day. When are you going to get it?
It's
And
not that smart.
I'm arguing with my radio in the car because that's,
So
it's
who's the
not the radio,
dummy?
it's the screen.
So
And
who's the dummy?
everybody's worrying about AI. I've been here for 2 months. I have the same schedule every day, and you keep asking me if I want to go there. I get in my car right now, go to leave. It asks me, this time it'll say, it'll say, go home. So, okay, fine.
Take me home. Take me home.
But yeah, I got a big problem with this
Ay.
thing. She's an idiot.
They, them. They,
Yeah, I
them.
don't know if it's a she. Well, when
All
she
right.
gives me the directions, she tells me what time,
I gotta
you
go.
gotta
With
go.
my director.
It's almost
I gotta go
happy
have dinner
hour.
with my director. I gotta go rub elbows.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you
Adios.
next Monday, 6 p.m. That's our new time. Thank you for tuning in. I had a great time. Bye, Angel. Have fun over there in Georgia. Stay out of
Bendiciones.
trouble. All
Take
right.
care. Adios.
Bye, everybody. That's